am just wanting to say hi and encourage you today and with two stories. So I have spoken with two individuals that is very much frontline workers at the moment with the COVID-19, and I just wanted to use this as examples of two different ways in how we can deal with such a time as this in suffering and challenge. And so in line with where we're at the moment with regards to becoming aware of our thinking patterns, our perceptions, and the belief structures that feed that, and then ultimately to be able to manage our emotions that stems from that, and then be able to choose the behavior in how we want to respond to the given situation or the person that is in front of us. And the first story is of a lady that is intensely overwhelmed with what is happening. And the challenge is that it is something that we can empathize with, that if we become intensely overwhelmed with the situations we find ourselves in, and when we become intensely overwhelmed with the situations we find ourselves in, or in a situation or a conversation that overwhelms us, and that takes us into our thinking pattern spirals, it is our prerogative and our challenge to understand what is happening for myself with regards to what is the thinking behind it, the thinking pattern, and then also what belief structure is feeding it. And is that belief structure healthy or unhealthy? Is it the unhealthy that I am trying to unlearn within myself? Is it woundedness based? Or is there a belief structure is it wounded based or not? Okay, so with regards to coming back to the situation, that in the overwhelm, she allowed the overwhelm and the emotion that stemmed from that to consume her a bit. And it took her to a freezing space, a place where it's past fight and flight. The body's response is a complete freezing. It is a complete experience of immersion in disempowerment and out of control. And that is a traumatic experience. And it's something that we don't have to enter. So it is a space we don't have to enter. And I know it's difficult to say it like that. And while I'm saying it, I know that it's not to condemn anybody. It's not that anybody should feel judged when they do feel so overwhelmed. The whole point is, it's not about judging. It's not about condemning. It's about realizing that I don't have to stay there, that I can feel and I can empathize and validate the overwhelm and the reason for feeling so overwhelmed. And then I can also help myself get into a healthy space of the truth that I need to remind myself of. But this is very intricate. It is a truth that I need to understand, that is helping and pulling the woundedness out of its depth of darkness. So say for instance, in her case, the concept of feeling that sense of out of control, there is no hope, what's the use of trying anyway? When there's a foundation that already think, perhaps I'm not good enough, perhaps perhaps the fact that I think I'm responsible for others' state of mind or emotional state or how they're feeling or how they are behaving. That is not a healthy space to get yourself in, to think that I'm responsible in how other people think or feel. And when other people are not healthy or not happy, I'm responsible. So when I can't get them healthy or happy, is something wrong with me. So, and that caused a total sense of lack or breaking in out of control experience. There's no feeling of control. And that's a very disempowering experience, but the basis of it is unhealthy. So in that line of thought, there is no recouping, because we cannot control. We do not control health or life or death. We do not control other people's responses and their emotional state. So if we get stuck in only feeling good enough, accepted or valuable, when we can make other people feel better, look better, respond better, behave better, that is a expectation we are setting ourselves up to fail in. And that will really hurt us and make us feel like a failure and wound us and really reimburse and reimbursing the wound of you're not good enough. You don't cut it. You can't, So, and that is where she got stuck. Instead of, and for us, if we do get stuck in that kind of fashion with our woundedness, it's not to condemn ourselves thinking and feeding again, the saboteur of, oh, you're so useless or not so good, that you can't even get yourself out of this thinking. That we become our own worst enemy, like Surjat Samin also said and mentioned in his video last time. But that we can recognize, validate, and empathize with, sure, this is my real battle. Because guys, we need to figure out, what is your real battle? What is your real, in your heart, in your deepest despair, in your moments of darkness? What is that takes you there? That is your battle. Not something that's happening outside, not other people's patronizing behavior, not what other people say or any situation that happens. Those things is all just triggers. They are just activating events, as some other cool guy calls it. They are just activating events that triggers this woundedness and this disempowerment in you. So our real battle, like Joyce Meyer said, the battlefield is that woundedness of ours. And we need to conquer it, because Jesus came to set us free. Free of what? Free of the enslavement that woundedness is causing in our thinking, in our emotions, in our behavior, and also in our spirit. And there is so much more for life to take root in those areas where despair is holding it in darkness. So we really want to start setting that free. And the way we set it free is to validate it, to acknowledge that, this is hurtful. This is why I feel so out of control. For that lady to go there and say, this makes me feel so out of control, that I am not good enough to help this person, that there's something wrong with me, that I can't help this person. And for her to start asking, where on earth do I come on that? Where did it start for me to start asking and doubting whether I'm good enough and what is wrong with me? Did it come from many incidences in my life? Because often it does. No matter how beautiful you were raised in the most beautiful circumstances with good parents, that's not the point. The point is, life happens because the world and parents that we were raised in was not perfect. That means traumatizing and hurtful things happen to you. And depending on how often it happened and how every time a certain situation, even if that person didn't mean it like that, really reimbursed again and again every time, that, see, your sister is more cuter than you, so you don't got it. You don't have it. So you must be more cuter and perform a little bit more, then you'll get acceptance. And so when mommy is upset, then you have to be cuter and don't be naughty, and then she will be happy again. Taking that responsibility of other people's emotions onto you. So that's just the example. That's just the one story, this lady's example. So that truth really needs to come and shine and sink into that darkness of really taking that little one this adult in you, taking that little one and restating what God has created that being to be, and that is good enough, fearfully, wonderfully made, with a hope and a future, with a plan that God has already written down. And that being to understand, come to the side, unlearn that that is a lie, unlearn the lie, and learn what makes you good enough. What is your value? How valuable are you? And what gets you excited? And how do you want to live that out? That is how God created you. So that's the journey, that's the learning, that is the emphasis that we need to put on our learning journey as well. So it's two-tongued. There's two parts in our growing. As I've mentioned often, it's the unlearning of the lie, but it's the learning and the relearning of the truth of who I am. It's not only chanting and reinstating that I am good enough, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That is beautiful things, but it needs to resonate into a deep understanding of what am I renouncing while I'm speaking that over myself. So we need both. We need to lean into the darkness of our woundedness and empathize and validate it. See it for what it is. Look it in the eye. And then we need to bring it into the light. The Bible says, bring it into the light. Cast it under Jesus' feet. It's not an inaction. It's not just sitting there, oh, thank you, Jesus, now everything is done. No, it is active. It is bringing it into the light by shining the light of the truth of who are you then in God, how are you created? And that is where we're working at the moment. So I want to encourage you with this second lady's story. They're in the same field of frontline workers. And this lady recognized it because she was on a little bit of a journey already before this epidemic struck. So she, in those moments where she also felt the overwhelm and the absolute tragedy that she was involved in, that completely made her feel out of control, that no matter what she does or anything she knows, nothing in her is good enough to help or fix this problem. And to her, that's a trigger because, again, she felt responsible. It's hers to fix, always her responsibility, since a child with her sister, that she need to help. Want ach, fooi toch, she doesn't know how to. I need to. I'm the older one. I need to know. I need to show you if you're unhappy. It's my responsibility to make you happy again. So she took that responsibility onto herself, which she now realizes it's not hers to carry. But now she started to recognize that, oh my goodness, she cannot take on that responsibility in her work, in what she is doing in this tragic time. It's too overwhelming. And she started recognizing this absolute overwhelm in her. And it doesn't take away that it makes her feel sad and overwhelmed and out of control. It's not about not feeling those feelings anymore, because unfortunately we're going to feel them. We're in this world, we're feeling them because they are tragedy. And we are going to feel the sadness and the horrifying reality, the horrifying, traumatic feeling we have when we see tragedy. It doesn't take away that fear, yet it is understanding where does that emotion come from. It comes from that out of control experience. And for her to start digging deeper, realizing, oh my word, it's because I always thought I'm useless. And if I can't fix the situation or make somebody feel better, there's something wrong with me. That means I'm lesser than. I'm the weak one because I don't cut it. I'm not good enough. And so she got her value and her sense of worth through allowing other people. So she also always wanted to take responsibility for or fix things. And obviously in this situation where it's so beyond her scope of fixing, that really broke her. But with this awareness, she started seeing, oh my word, it isn't my responsibility. And she even took it further. Because she is a Christian, she sees it further in light of God is the one who holds life and death in his hands, and for her to try and be responsible for other person's life or death is too much, because it's God's work. And that really started to dawn on her. She really had a revelation that she needs to take God with her into work. She needs to take God with her wherever she goes. Because if she leaves God behind, she thinks she needs to take control and fix. But when she takes God with, it's an act of choice to say, okay, God, I'm walking behind you. What do you want me to do in this situation for this person? And that helps her to stick to the healthy way in behaving and dealing with herself, so that she can stick to the healthy way of thinking about situations, and not allow the overwhelm and the fear to take her into and feeding into the darkness, the woundedness of I'm not good enough and I can't fix. Sorry for the dog barking. But I hope these two stories encouraged you, and I hope it motivates and inspires you to choose the option of becoming aware of what you're thinking. How deep is it taking you? To what deepness is it taking you? What is the truth and the lies? And how are you feeding the truth? How actively are you feeding the truth? Are you starting to discover what is true about the truth? What is true about your worth? What is true about your value? What is true about your strengths? So I want to remind you of the NBI profile that you did. Go and look at those strengths again, and that strength exercises, and really ask God to show you, how is this living out? And and we're going to look at later on we're going to have some more exercises of that kind of self-awareness. But with the dogs barking, I want to love and leave you. I see you next week. Okay, guys, bye.